In 2020, the toy industry made $3.26 billion in sales in the US. It makes you wonder, what truly is the impact of toys?
So when we think about toys, I actually, in my graduate studies, was interested in the value of toys for promoting different types of developmental outcomes. And I did my master's thesis on that idea and found really that toys didn't really matter on their own. Whether you played with a doll versus whether you played with blocks wasn't as important as whether you played with those things with adult intervention or without adult intervention. And so having an adult present who can help you make connections between ideas, help you build those skills like problem solving and self-regulation, that is much more important than which toy you're playing with. It's the adult interactions and sometimes peer interactions, especially when the peers are of different ages and they can scaffold each other's learning.
I'd say it was more my godfather, because my godfather was a collector, and he had the helmets, he had the lightsabers, he had the action figures like I do now. And I feel like, growing up with him and, always going out with him and like, he's like, oh, try out these comic books. Like, oh, that's how I got into comic books. And it's like, it really goes to show that family can really like shape you into who you are in the future.
But yeah, children are very influenced by the models they see. And so toys are examples of models in their environment. And it's very likely that they are going to want to emulate the types of models that they have.
Our favorite toys to play with together is American Goble. Because like our friends have American Girl dolls and they're just like not so baby dolls. They're like just, I don't know how to explain it.
Just play with them?
No, yeah, and they have really cool stuff. They're just like a human stuff, but in doll form. I kind of want some of their clothes because some of their clothes are actually really cool. Actually, there's matching clothes with dolls, but not like so much.
So actually, you brought up the Bionicle thing, and it's very funny because with the Bionicle series, because it was Lego and it was more to, their demographic was more angsty kids. So it was like cool, they had like trailers with like Linkin Park in the like commercials, and they would come out with movies. So these toys would have their own movies. And one of the movies was about this guy who doesn't really know himself, and then he becomes more confident and he becomes what he was destined to be the leader of a group. And ironically, it's kind of been the exact same. It's like you find yourself growing up, and right now being in a leadership position at work, it's like, did that really affect me? Like, you don't know, maybe it did, but yeah, Bionicles did help with that. And then Legos, just the creativity, building your own things, even if they have their own guides, you have your own ability to build things. And then Star Wars had their own toys. I never got my own Star Wars toys, but I always got the hand-me-down of my dad's. So those 80s classic ones, the ones that are worth like hundreds of dollars, yeah, my dad would like spin them around like tops. So yeah, they're not valued at anything, but they did affect me because I was like, man, those people are cool.
So again, I would say it's not ways that the toys necessarily impact children. It's the way that the adults and other children interact with children and toys that matter. And so if you have a Bratz doll and you have a conversation with your mom about the Bratz doll and she says, oh, isn't she pretty? She has such cute clothes. You could be pretty and have cute clothes one day. Then that's a very different conversation than, oh, look at her. She's a rock star. She must work really hard at learning how to play music so that she can be a star. And so the message that the child hears about the exact same Bratz doll there is very different. One is, our goal is for you to be pretty, and you can be pretty too. I think you're pretty. And one is you have to work hard to be a rock star. You have to learn music. You have to really work at that goal. And if you want to be a rock star, then you have to put in work too. And so those are just very different in terms of what the child is going to get from that same toy. And that goes for every toy.